He is the man, the myth, the legend that is David Furones. How you doing, baby? How was that locker room? I'm sure it was jubilant.
Yeah, no, I mean, we split up. I had to be at the podium. If you watch all those live interviews, that was my voice asking all the questions over here. But yeah, I mean, guys are obviously down. A lot of them just trying to keep some kind of optimism toward the rest of the season. And they do have Tua Tagovailoa in the back pocket as a reason to believe that this could get turned around. But 2-4. I mean, I felt like they really needed to get to 3-3 at the point of Tua's return with this win, and it's another loss to another mediocre team. Lose this one to the Titans. Seattle on the road. It's a tough environment, but still, that's
very winnable.
Winnable games.
Yeah, winnable games. You've already had a chance to win 1 to 3 games this year. That should be on your win column, and that shows that it's bad coaching. And the theme that's developed, and I think a lot of our listeners, which I commend them on that, and I think the media needs to also get on board, and I know we're on board on this, Tua isn't going to solve shit. The problems are so much deeper for this team. This is a bad game day coach, period. You cannot win. I don't care who it is, dude. You cannot win with a bad game day coach because he's going to forget what down it is. He's going to use a fullback dive on 1st and 10. He's going to do stupid shit like Jalen Wright was a dominant force last week, and you waited to the second half to use him. Let me ask you something. I've been asking now. This is my new one now. Why does John Embry have a job? His tight ends suck. Every one of them is a disaster. They all make mistakes. They all screw this team over constantly. Every one of them. Tanner Conner has been stealing money with without a gun and a mask for nearly 3 years now. Nobody pays a price on this team, dude. Everybody can screw up all they want, and McDaniel does nothing. But McDaniel's probably the biggest screw up of them all.
A lot to unpack there, but I mean, to one of those last points that you made there, yeah, the accountability. As far as you don't see a lot of whether it's starters as far as player personnel losing their jobs, facing ramifications for poor play or penalties or all kinds of miscues. Like Julian Hill has been. I don't have the stat, but I mean he's been the most penalized player. He's got to be on this Dolphins team. And he continues to start. He has started 5 of the first 6 games again today, and extensive playing time, and really counted on as that inline blocking tight end. And sometimes Durham Smythe is in there, but it's clear Julian Hill's the number one, despite continuing to make these commit these penalties and not be disciplined out there. Coaching wise, you said, well, all right, so stick with that same group. You mentioned John Embry. Now, he is a guy who has extensive experience and has coached some incredible tight ends. Obviously, it helps when he had just come from San Francisco and he helped George Kittle along his path.
Wait a minute. So wasn't it McDaniel that helped Tua, or is it that Tua has really helped McDaniel now? Or maybe it's that Kittle helped John Embry. You know what I'm saying? I think we got to kind of drop that now, because if you're a great coach, you're a great coach no matter who you're coaching, you're going to make them better. If you're only a great coach because you happen to run into a great player, that doesn't make you a great coach.
Well, and you bring up the McDaniel-Tua dynamic, which I heard earlier from you. And, I'm still going to believe Mike McDaniel was instrumental in turning Tua Tagovailoa around from his first 2 seasons under Brian Flores.
Confidence.
But that's something that's part of coaching. So I do give him credit for that, for sure.
Yeah, but, instilling confidence, I give it to him. Actual X's and O's in football, no, I don't, unfortunately.
Yeah, and what's so frustrating is that there were always signs that it's there. Like when he came from San Francisco and they ran that offense and they could win even when it was Jimmy Garoppolo running. They were like the cornerstone of a franchise who could win even.
Dude, I'll give you one right now. You don't even have to go back. Today, the play that he had with Armstead, and it was the Jonnu Smith play, right? That they dumped it to Jonnu. and they had 2 lead blocks. It was the center
The,
and Armstead.
the touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a beautiful design.
Yes.
That was a gorgeous design. I mean, it doesn't get past me that he has intelligence in how to design it. It's just he doesn't know when to use it. Like, 1st and 10, a fullback dive.
Yeah. I mean, questionable decisions throughout. I had a group text with friends wondering about the 4th and 1, where they got stuffed on 1 and then could have gone for it there. It's a long field goal. With how difficult.
Go for it. Go for it. By the way, why are you waiting? Why are you waiting to use Jalen Wright into the second half? Why didn't you bring that hammer out from the beginning? Why? Because Mostert's healthy. Now we got to use him? No, bro. Jalen Wright was a stud. He brings more hammer to this thing. That short yardage, that's who I'm using, dude.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to the point of McDaniel maybe not wanting to take away a player's job that they have, whether it's because of that player's own performance negatively losing it, or giving it to another player that has maybe shown that he should go take it.
This is why McDaniel is Mickey Mouse, and this is why Phil Jackson, in the middle of a championship, I believe it was a championship or East, he goes, yeah, I'm drawing up this play, and he drew it up for Kukoc.
Right.
Not for Pippen.
The infamous play, yeah.
Yeah.
But Pippen didn't even go out because
and then he didn't go out, and Kukoc did hit the shot, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, but he's a coach. He's going to call the play that's best for the person at that moment for his team, and it wasn't Pippen, it was Kukoc. And that's fine, dude. Michael Jordan had, some plays where he left the final shot to Jim Paxson and Craig Hodges. And what was the other guy? Oh, and Kerr. And they hit huge shots to end games. That's Michael being the coach also on the court, that I don't have to take every shot. I can set some great shooters up to do the job. And that's what he was doing. And McDaniel today is a day where you saw what Jalen Wright did for you last week. Brother, bring him along. Keep using him, and it keeps the other guys fresh. Plus, Achan's coming back from a concussion, and he played great, but you're also using him a lot. It's like it's this reckless way of doing things. I don't really get it.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to see Wright get action. I want to see more of a 3-headed monster, especially once you unleash Jalen Wright for that first time, and you saw the pro running back that he can be, and that extra physicality that he can bring running between the tackles. So it was a little perplexing not to see him so involved, and especially in a game where you still are committing to the run very much so. So I can understand if maybe the game plan was tailored to getting the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, which clearly it wasn't. But if you were trying to get the passing game going, and okay, one of the running backs gets phased out because there's not that many opportunities, but you were committed to running the football in this game. So, but aside from that fumble, I'm not going to fault Achan or Mostert too much. 5.1 yards per carry.
No.
Mostert,
I just fault the coach for not using Wright. That's all I'm saying. You got to.
I wanted to see it too. I was stunned the first time I saw him, and I said, I don't think I've seen him yet. And then I look, and that was his first carry.
Yeah. I just kind of felt bad because, again, you're not doing what's best, for your team. All right, so this is what you get, I'm sure. You've gotten tons of it already because all Dolphin beat writers get this kind of, you get your responses from fans. Dude, people want to clean house. They want to fire the front office. They want to fire the head coach. They want to fire the staff. Overall, I keep telling them I don't think any changes are coming because they committed to all these contracts already. And by the way, I'll throw a little caveat. I'm not saying that I know that this happened, but I got to figure if you extended McDaniel and everybody else, you extended the front office too. So I'm just wondering, what do you know? Because tell fans out there what you think, because I think there'll be no changes. They'll try to tweak it and fix it in the offseason for the next year. That's about it. But I don't think you're going to see major changes. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would not see that. Your point, and I've said it repeatedly on the show, they committed to this core. So it's what they're going to play this out. And still within this season, you're 2-4, far from the expectations that you expected. I mean, I looked at the schedule to start the year. I said at this point they'd be 5-1, going on 6-1 when they go home against Arizona before you get to the Buffalo game. Now you're looking at 2-4. But what they can fall back on is you didn't have Tua Tagovailoa for those 4 games, and actually a point you had mentioned to start is we saw this offense with Tua, and it didn't look great in that Jacksonville game, week 1, and it really looked really bad in that Buffalo loss when he did suffer that concussion.
It's looked bad since last year, bro. It's looked bad
end
since
of last year. A lot of against tough teams, against top defenses, playoff teams, winning teams. It's not the same. So, there is still. It's not like just bringing back Tua clears everything up and fixes all issues. There are a lot of underlying issues way beyond
That's
that.
how we started this, that I told you that these problems run a lot. That's why when Tua comes back now, it's going to be unfair thinking that he's the panacea to all your problems. That's just...
Oh, listen to you.
That's just not right, dude. It's not right. You know what I mean?
Then that'll be that hope that remains is, okay, well, we're 2-4 because we went 1-3 in those 4 games where we didn't have Tua. Now we got to see it when we do have our quarterback, and then that's going to be the thinking, I believe, internally within this organization. So it's not going to be about, well, this didn't work. Our whole plan, this core, we got to clean house. That's not how the organization is going to look at this. They can still fall back on the Tua thing right now, and then see where it goes beyond that. I still don't give up all hope at 2-4 because the schedule doesn't look as difficult, as much of a gauntlet as you maybe thought earlier. A lot of teams don't look as strong on that back end. And so with Tua and with some other guys coming back, then maybe you could pull out some wins. But it is still it's at a point now where it's looking grim. It's at a tipping point, boiling point here.
And this is why I never play the schedule game, because the schedule game is just silly because you really can't tell what teams are. We'll close it with this: a positive. I know, right? I know, right? Are you ready for it? I do find a positive here. For one positive for Tua coming back, I actually think McD finally figured out that they've got to run the ball more. So now you know, I get it that here you were in a tough place because you didn't have a passer. But now you get your passer back. Okay, so now you'll be able to complete some passes now and you'll get the ball to Tyreek. But don't lose out on what you've done in the last 2 games, that you've dedicated yourself more to the run, and that's a positive for Tua, and that could help him out too with play action and things like that. If you want the middle, you know how Tua loves to work the middle of the field? Well, how do you work the middle of the field better? Run the hell out of the ball, suck those linebackers in, bring a safety in, and then hit them over the top. And that's what you need to do. So if there's a positive that I can find out of this game is the habitual nature of you running the ball the last 2 games. Please keep that habitual nature.
Yeah, especially to his first game back. I wouldn't expect too much to be placed on his shoulders, so I would want to see a commitment to the run, same way they've been doing this game, how it worked against New England. And then also...
You trust McD to do that? Do you really? Would you put money on that?
Here's the thing is that now you're also coming off a game where the storyline is they didn't get the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle enough. So now he's got to do that too. So, there are so many weapons on this offense where you do need to get so many different guys involved, and it could be difficult to manage at times, but that shouldn't be to your detriment. That should only be a bonus. That's a good problem to have, and yet for this Dolphins offense, it seems to be something that's consistently holding them back this year. Is like you're not getting the ball to Tyreek and Jalen, and then you're not running the ball. All right, now you finally run the ball. You can't get it to Tyreek and Jalen, and then you weren't finding Jonnu Smith over the middle, which will be another thing that can help Tua using the middle of the field. And then now you are. So, but it's at the expense of everything else suffering. So if they could just find a way to put it all together again, it could look
signs why it's hard for you to feel good that they're going to pull it off. I'll give you an example. If you wanted to get the most out of this offense, a real coach might have coached up 2 quarterbacks here. Use Boyle for some things and then use Snoop for other things. And maybe you'd be able to get away with it because and it's not because I know Shula did it with Woodstock, but the guy you just played, Shane Steichen, he has to coach one offense with Flacco and another offense with Richardson. And he's had to do it in the middle of a game where Richardson goes out and Flacco comes in, and you've got to then change the offense all of a sudden. You know, the good coaches, I know that when you have two quarterbacks, you have none, but guess what? You have none right now. So why not use two? Why not be a better coach? And that's my problem right now with a guy like McD. He ends up forcing his hand to go with Huntley, but Huntley is limited as a passer. So you have other guys, whether it's Skyler or obviously right now Boyle. Maybe you use elements of both, but you're not a good enough coach to be able to mix it up, and that's sad.
Oh, well, I'm not a fan of going in and out with two different quarterbacks in the same game. I know it's a point you've mentioned, but I don't like that idea. I think
you're a fan of sticking with one shitty one?
Well, we saw both of them in this game due to injury, of course. But it's just a quarterback can never get into a rhythm if you do go that route. Now, it's a good point with Shane Steichen and how they are two completely different offenses depending on the quarterback, and yet Mike McDaniel insists on running his offense the same way when it's Tyler Huntley in a quarterback, when it should be a different offense for him than the other quarterbacks you have on this roster. So why was that never done, to change this offense and tailor it for Huntley on the fly? The way, okay, I mean, it didn't work. So it's not like the Colts lit it up offensively. I mean, if the Colts lost, I mean, everyone in Indianapolis is talking about how Anthony Richardson stunk it up and that they should have stuck with Flacco. But but that coaching staff is at least still putting together these two separate offenses for those two very different quarterbacks.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's coaching going on, you know? And so I just, with this guy, you know, he's just lost me. All right, follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ Catch his exceptional work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, safe travels, my brother. We will catch up on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
You got it. There you go. David Furones. Don't forget Welt Rheaume. You've been dealing with Helene or Milton or any of the issues or insurance companies that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, reach out to Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. They are complete ass kickers. 954-966-4646. So many of our listeners all throughout the state of Florida, by the way. It started way back a little bit over a year ago or something like that we had one listener in Orlando, and now we've had several listeners up in Central Florida reach out to Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. And if you live here in South Florida, folks, and if you're dealing with bankruptcy, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, call the guys that are the best left and right tackle in the business. Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume, 954-966-4646.